In our travels, we've come to love taking the scenic route. We opt for creative routes that get us off the beaten path so we can see something new, have some fun, and still get to where we need to go. As we were making our way north towards the US and Canadian border, we found ourselves in a new part of Nevada that we had never been to before. We turned to Onyx Off-Road to find trails that would give us an intimate tour of this rugged and beautiful landscape. After identifying a trail that piqued our interest, we downloaded offline maps for the area and set off down the road to find it. Still a ways off from our trail, we decided to stop for the night alongside a creek that also happened to be a hot spring. Or does that make it a hot creek? We spent the evening watching the color melt from the sky while lazing about in the warm water. After a luxurious morning soak with coffee in hand, we are ready to head out in search of our trail. We finally made it to where our trail is. The other night we were camped on the other side of this range, and we're starting to be a little bit nervous that this wasn't going to happen either because there was so much snow. But now that we're approaching from the appropriate side, it looks like there's just a little bit of remnant snow that shouldn't be a problem for us. But we got ourselves tracking with Onyx and on our trail. So we are all set to make this happen. I'm so excited. We made a few quick pit stops to clean around the trail. We like to leave these places cleaner than we found them, so those who follow behind us can have an enjoyable visit. All right, here I go. Yes.
Why is this full of crickets? Ooh, so gross. Okay, let's try to get some of these out. Yeah, I don't really know what to think of that.
With one last check of our trail on Onyx, we were off. And for real this time. Our climb into the mountains gave us an incredible perspective of the low rolling hills of the surrounding area. And then suddenly, we came to a slight roadblock. Whoa. I don't really know what to think about this, if I'm being perfectly honest. Up about halfway through this snowdrift, and it is very much a drift, it's pretty deep. The rut gets really deep on the far side, and then there's a lot of really big boulders in it that we would not want to drive over. The problem is we're not super experienced in driving in the snow, if I'm being totally transparent. So I don't have a whole lot of confidence when it comes to this kind of thing. So I think we're just gonna need to think about it. Okay, what we're thinking our game plan is gonna be, I'm gonna try to drive this first stretch of snow It's not quite as off camber, fully in the snow, even though I do have the shoulder at my disposal, just to see how much we slip in the snow, because I think that that's probably the biggest question mark that we have, because we will need to drive fully in the snow in a pretty off camber spot. So we just need to see how much we're slipping. And the thing is, at the end of the day, we're kind of a big, heavy vehicle, so we're just a little bit different than most rigs. So we just need to make sure that we're proceeding with caution, because everything we own is in this vehicle. But I won't lie to you, I am super anxious and nervous about this. It feels weird to put my anxiety on full display, but you know, a previous vehicle has kind of instilled distrust in off-camber scenarios. So I just like to enter these with as much caution as possible. I will try to keep it together for you guys. Whew. All right, let's do this.
Yeah.
We're just digging. Well, that was a huge buildup for effectively nothing. I guess at the end of the day, the decision was not ours. And again, we're heavy, we're big, we don't have like mud terrains or snow tires or chains or spikes or anything like that. So unfortunately, today was not our day to do this trail, but since we're commuting, let's go ahead and see if we can find another trail to take down on our way north. The age-old adage, it's about the journey rather than the destination, applies to overlanding. So what if we didn't finish this trail? It gave us the opportunity to see something that we otherwise wouldn't have, all while making our way north. Yes, we could have excluded our failed attempt from this story, but seldom does travel go according to plan. With Onyx, we have all the tools that we need to recalibrate and try again. After making it out of the mountain, we made our way to the town of Fields and stopped for a milkshake to devise a new plan.
I don't think you're ready for this.
P.S. If you go through the town of Fields, do yourself a favor and go to the general store and get yourself a milkshake. You can thank me later.
It's a beautiful thing. Is there any way we're finishing this?
Everyone has to-go cups.
Wow. It's not hot out here, but damn.
Eventually, we made our way to camp and settled in for a quiet night in preparation for the long day ahead. After getting shut down twice, we are going to attempt a third trail today, but this one's going to be a little bit different in that we are blazing our own path, and we are going to be creating a new trail for Onyx as trail guides. And we're really excited because it's going to take us into an area that we've only been to once before, but we're going to be exploring way deeper, and we think that we found some cool points of interest that we're going to try to get to, and hopefully take you to as well. With Onyx tracking us, we were officially starting our new trail. Just a few minutes after getting started, we had arrived at our first point of interest.
Whew. All right, let's do this.
We spotted this Borax Lake from the satellite images of the area and knew that we wanted to stop in and see it. According to our research, this area was mined for borax for about 10 years, which would explain the remaining mining equipment. The 10-acre alkaline lake is fed by a geothermal spring 100 feet below the surface. And the temperatures range from about 104 to 300 degrees Fahrenheit. Pretty cool, right? Before continuing, we added a few waypoints to our map to be sure that we didn't miss any of our turns as we ventured up into a network of tiny dirt roads. Though the road was easy thus far, it featured deep ruts filled with fine dust that in wet conditions could make the road potentially impassable. Thankfully, we had pristine conditions for our journey. Little did we know, this would actually be the first of many cattle gates.
We just crossed the fence and now we're getting into it, I guess. We don't really know where we're going.
Story of our lives.
Can I keep it? Trash. Our next destination, Coyote Lake, was what we looked forward to for most of this drive. The Alvord Desert is often busy with cars zipping around in all directions, but out here, we had this magical landscape all to ourselves. On the other side, we came to our last cattle gate of the day and continued on to what we would soon learn was the roughest section of road for the entire trail.
So cute.
It wasn't that this road was particularly hard to drive, it was just that it was made up of rock and made progress really slow and very jerky. It was also clear to us that no one had driven this road in a really long time, as there were shrubs growing up right in the middle of the road. We continued bumping our way down the road like this for miles, until we eventually came to mellower terrain and were able to enjoy the view. As the golden light of early evening set in, we drove into Mickey Basin. This area really took us by surprise. It wasn't one of the points of interest that we came here for, but it ended up being one of the highlights of the day. The light on this landscape was a stark contrast to the sagebrush and cattleland that we had been driving through for hours.
So precious.
At the end of the trail, we couldn't help but be thankful for the events that had led us here. When traveling, rarely do things go according to plan, but isn't that the beauty of it? Those moments give us the opportunity to slow down, to enjoy what's in front of us, and to be thankful for what we did accomplish. If we didn't fail to traverse the Pine Ridge Trail, we would have never ended up coming to this beautiful place, and we would have never recorded this trail so we can share it with all of you. Thanks to Onyx Off-Road, there will always be another option. There will always be another trail and another route. All right, Onyx, where to next?